What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. The Gym Leaders and Elite Four members of each region are some of the most iconic characters we come across, but their reign is finite. There's a long line of shifting titles that we have not witnessed. So instead of just the type specialists that we've met, it's reasonable to assume that every region has had a full spread of the elemental spectrum. So let's find out who these mysterious trainers are. Today, we'll be looking at Johto. Now, some people would say that you don't even need to look at Johto, since in many ways it can just be considered one big region with Kanto. And if that's the case, that they completely cover each other's missing typings so that you can face down every one of them across both regions. But that's not entirely true, since Giovanni retired and left us without a ground-type specialist. And of course, there is no fairy. Plus, that would mean that the video is over, and that's not very interesting. So, as much as I love the old classic Kanto gym leaders, I do imagine that there were more sometime in Johto's past. Or maybe yet to be in their future. As we said, Johto was designed to cover all of the holes in Kanto. So their gym leaders and Elite Four only leave out the types of the Kanto gyms, having grass, water, fire, electric, rock, and ground, without any representation in Johto itself. Now that is more than last time, but they also added 2 new types, and some of the members of Indigo Plateau doubled up on typings as well. And as a reminder, I will be striving to showcase the newer Pokémon of the region as much as possible, but I also want to avoid poaching members of other specialist teams. And again, we will be ignoring any Gen 2 Kanto leader teams that use Johto Pokémon, because that would just tie our hands to a ridiculous degree. So, looking at the available spread, I'm going to say that Fire would be first, since it has the smallest potential pool. Houndoom is already taken by Karen, so all that really leaves us is Magby and the Slugma line. We could use a Cyndaquil, but most people say that you shouldn't have starters on Gym Leader's team. I think it's probably fine, but we can leave it off. And of course, we can't give them the legendary Entei. Magby being the first of the Gym Leader's Pokémon is what makes me think that it should be early on. And a feature that some people appreciate is having some Pokémon on a gym team that do not conform to the type, allowing for a bit more of a challenge instead of steamrolling them with one Pokémon. So, if pressed, I think another baby Pokémon, Tyrogue, could fit this early team as well. And of course, the final member would be Magcargo. But despite Magcargo having elevated stats, I think it is easy enough to face since it's ×4 weak to ground and water. However, you would need a chance to get those types first, which is why I'm proposing that this gym be located in Cherry Grove City. But you would have to come back to it after beating the Violet City gym first. As for the interior, I imagine it would be pretty simple and just have a few walls of fire by each trainer that shut off after you beat them. Once you get past 3 or so trainers, you can face Ember as the gym's leader, giving out the Scorch badge. And assuming that nobody else has it covered, you could unlock Cut and get the TM for Fire Punch. Now, sadly, Cherry Grove is about the only city on the map that doesn't already have a gym in it. So, in respecting the current tenants that we know, we will once again have to refer to the anime. The next town is called Blooming Vale, which is somewhere above Azalea Town, meaning it's got to be close to Ilex Forest. This, and the name, points to there being a grass-type gym here. I would guess you can only face it after you beat the second gym, but I guess it wouldn't be too bad either way. Inside the gym, I'm picturing some giant flower petals that lead you up to the second floor. You can choose the outer ones that have 2 easier trainers to fight in succession, or the inner ones with 1 tougher trainer. Or you could just face all of them, but you have to clear at least 1 petal in order to get to the back where the leader, Sage, is. His namesake is well earned, not only for the grass type, but also his profound wisdom only years of experience can bring. As for his team, that's a bit harder since, again, there are not many grass types other than the starting line. I mean, we do have Sunflora that can work because it's a stone evolution, but we would need a severely underleveled Bellossom in order to properly show off the new options in Johto. And we could probably squeeze out a Skiploom for his team as well. Again, I realize Erica did use these in her Gen 2 days, but I'd rather see them here in their home region than just giving this grass leader a Bellsprout just to be different. And if we had to give them a different typed partner, I think a Ledian could fit in with the theme, and help out with some cross-pollination. Besides, Bugsy should have had one anyway. But defeat Sage, and you'll get the Meadow Badge, along with the TM for Mega Drain. The next anime town we'll use is the brilliantly named Bluefinland, which is on Blue Point Isle, somewhere around the Whirl Islands. So I guess maybe this spot could be a way station on the trail to Cyanwood. But despite what you might think, I feel that this gym would be the electric one. They certainly wouldn't have any trouble training surrounded by water types. Maybe the gym itself could even be some sort of hydroelectric power plant. That wouldn't factor into the puzzle too much. Just a few circles with trainers on them, and once you beat them, they'll rotate to complete a circuit, finally illuminating the leader at the end, Jewel, a young woman with a passion for science. Her team would likely consist of an Elekid to start out, and then a nice Flaffy in the middle to build up to a Lantern. If we need an outlier, I feel that Aipom would provide decent contributions to a gym at this point in your journey. Once beaten, Jewel will give you the Discovery Badge, as well as the TM for Thunder Punch. And if Chuck isn't around at the same time, you could get access to Fly from her to deliver the nice medicine back to the lighthouse. Next we'll cover the Ground type, which unfortunately is held back a bit by Steelix and Piloswine being prominently used by other gym leaders. That only leaves us with a small pool of Gligar, Quagsire, and Donphan, which is actually pretty decent when I look at it. It's just a shame that it can't be bigger. If we did want wider variety, Dunsparce actually fits with the motif surprisingly well, also being able to burrow into the dirt with the others. Weaker trainers in the gym could use Larvitar or Swinub if they wanted, but speaking of, this gym setup would provide a series of holes in the ground that would drop you in front of various trainers. You could climb a ladder back out to go and heal, but after several floors deep in the earth, you would find Terra, one of the world's leading archaeologists and the ground specialist for Johto. The placement of this gym is in Maroon Town, which is supposed to be somewhere around Mahogany, so once you beat Terra and claim the Tectonic Badge, you could probably get access to Rock Climb or some other late-game HM, as well as the TM for Magnitude. The last gym we'll add is in Whitestone, which is a mountain town supposedly up above Ecruteak somewhere, but it would have to be blocked in some way, since I figure the rock gym here would be one of the last few that you would face in the region. See, not only do we have Sudowoodo, but some other varied type alternatives with the likes of Shuckle and Corsola. And not to mention that we have the pseudo-legendary Tyranitar. Why the Dark-type user didn't snag the Godzilla of the region, I'll never know, but it's the gain of our Rock-type user here. And for an outside team member, I feel that Skarmory evokes a mountaintop image that jives with the rest of the crew. Some might think that's too powerful, since it wouldn't be weak to 4 of the things that the other Rock team members would be, but this is supposed to be a late-game gym, so you should be able to handle it by now. The gym leader here is Mason. This towering man could crush you without his Pokémon, but really only cares about putting in an honest day's work at the quarry or at the gym. Inside, you would probably just push some boulders around or some sort of strength puzzle. They didn't really get too crazy with the gyms back then. But you could fight the trainers up to the top where Mason is waiting at an open peak. Early trainers would likely use many Gen 1 Pokémon so as not to exhaust the pool, as would probably most all of the other trainers in these other gyms, realistically. After defeating Mason's pretty tough team, you would get the Granite Badge, and the TM for the move Ancient Power. And in Johto, they still used the Whirlpool HM, so Mason could probably bestow that on you too. Now, that was the last gym, but we still have a type left. Well, that's because I am confident once again that the Water type in Johto could result in a powerful Elite Four member. If you just look at the ones that we've already used, and the ones that are ineligible for obvious reasons, you would think that there would be nothing left, but no. You have Politoed, first of all, so if this is any time when it has the Drizzle ability, you've got Rain Team potential right there. And you've also got hugely bulky Pokémon like Slowking and Mantine available. And for good measure, you have some stranger picks like Quillfish and Octillery that have niche contributions to take people off guard, with some Toxic Spikes or an Octazooka. Having multiple checks to the Grass type will also help make this a powerful team to fight at the Indigo Plateau, under the command of Waverly, a hardened trainer that has battled his way through any and all professional outlets he could find. Waverly knows how to best use his water companions to strategize his way to victory, so don't underestimate them. And don't think I've forgotten about Azumarill either, because that is another great option, especially if it can have the huge power ability. But if we wanted to reserve the Aqua Rabbit, we could have an unexpectedly solid Fairy-type team for a Johto gym leader, despite the fact that it was decades before the type was even created. But if we don't want to allow the Fairy representation, I think that Granbull could still fit in on the Water team, and add some diversification to a strong Elite Four presence. I would certainly want to stock up on health items before I fought Waverly. It's somewhat surprising that for a region with no officially sanctioned water trainer, that it has the potential to do so well. I do hope that we can see some of these characters, or some variation of them in future games. Or even side materials, I'm not picky. It would just be nice to see some of the behind the scenes that we know are going on, but thus far have remained in the shadows. But that's my spin on the missing type specialist from the Johto region. What do you think about these gym leaders and Elite Four members? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!